Number 10. There are substances on set. Actors using substances on set is nothing new. A lot of people are pretty sure that Seth Rogen smokes his herbs and spices on set constantly, something he's admitted to doing before, but not as often as the internet makes it out to be. However, in the earlier days of Hollywood, substances were not only done on set, they were encouraged by the studios, who would regularly feed their actors their narcotic of choice on set. In fact, John Belushi from the Blues Brothers was such an avid consumer of no-no snow that the price of powder was built into the budget for the 1980 flick. No wonder he's in sunglasses all day. If he took them off, he'd look like he just got pepper sprayed. Or something. I don't know what happens when you do that stuff. I'm a good boy, I promise. Facts are that this still takes place to this day. Now, I have signed a few NDAs in my time as a locations PA, so I cannot specify who does what and where, but the amount of celebrities that surprisingly love that no-no snow is astonishing. No wonder so many people deliver great performances. It's because they amp themselves up in a bathroom for 5 minutes before every scene. Number 9. Jim Carrey's origins. A Canadian legend, Jim Carrey is considered one of the greatest modern comedians of all time. He famously released 3 films in the year 1995, Dumb and Dumber, The Mask, and Ace Ventura, all of which made millions at the box office and still hold up to this day, except for a couple scenes in Ace Ventura, but we won't get into that. As many know, comedians tend to have a pretty rough backstory, as the best comedy comes from a place of pain. Over the years, Jim has come clean about his strange but fun upbringing. His family struggled financially, and he grew up watching his mother struggle with depression, which he claims to have been passed down to him. Despite his energy, he was a bit of a recluse growing up, and apparently he spent hours in his room making faces in the mirror instead of hanging out with his friends. After dropping out of high school to work a full-time job, Jim and his family were actually forced to live in a Volkswagen van together, becoming homeless for a short period of time. He went on to attempt a career in comedy, at first to minimal success, but of course he was able to find his footing and made his place in comedy history. Number 8. There are ties to the Mafia. The film industry may be a multi-billion-dollar business, but where did they get that first bit of cash from to get where they are today? Well, apparently Hollywood has a dark history that's tied to organized crime families. The Trucadero, or the Truck, was a famous spot on the Sunset Strip back in the day, with many celebrities coming through the doors, along with studio heads and notorious mob leaders like Mickey Cohen, who was a regular at the establishment. He was a man who rubbed elbows with many of Hollywood's A-list. In fact, the film Texas Chainsaw Massacre, released in the 1970s, was released by Bryanston Pictures, a company heavily linked to several crime families. While the production studio ended up going bankrupt, Hollywood is still filled with many people doing secret deals. I bet all of the money in my savings account that they had something to do with this Barbenheimer nonsense. Now that's not a lot of money, but the mob runs the memes, confirmed. Number 7. Woody Harrelson's father. Woody is best known in Hollywood as the wildest wild child ever to exist. He eats raw meat, he's an eco-crusader, he's a protester against violence, and an advocate for the legalization of herbs and spices in the United States. He's loved on screen, but did you know that his father took people out for money? And I'm not talking about on dates. That's a different job. Charles Harrelson was sentenced to 2 lifetime sentences for the slaying of a federal judge in San Antonio. And prior to that charge, Charles had previously been acquitted for the slaying of Alan Berg, who was a carpet salesman. And he was convicted of the slaying of Sam DeGalia. He's not the greatest hitman of all time. His track record will prove that. The evidence shows that Charles is not the greatest hitman of all time. Woody doesn't speak much of his father these days, opting instead to leave his family's trouble in the past. He does, however, say that the one piece of advice that his father ever gave him that he still uses to this day is always keep an open mind. Charles knew all about opening minds with bullets. Number 6, they have backups of A-listers. There have been many rumors over the years that Hollywood likes to clone their best and brightest on the off chance that they'll need them again following their ultimate demise. According to the internet, Paul Rudd actually got to star alongside his clone in the show Living with Yourself. Now, Paul has of course claimed that the performance was achieved with CGI and filming one character one day and another the next, but Paul Rudd is also 54 years old and looks like that, so something is not right about this. Now, there is a theory out there that the celebrity elites are made up of lizard people who take the form of actors and singers to influence us. And Paul is thought to be one of those lizard people. Now, I don't believe this theory, I'm just sharing something cool that I found on the internet. But it would be awesome if there were 2 Paul Rudds. In fact, that would be the most chill way to find out that cloned people exist. Just Paul being like, "Hi, I'm Paul," and "Hi, I'm also Paul." Everything's gonna be fine. Number 5. Mark Wahlberg should be in jail. Maki Mak and a Funky Bunch hit the rap scene in 1991, and despite sounding like the title of a cheesy kids show, the crew had a small following and garnered a bit of success. Enough for leading man Mark Wahlberg to be spotted and picked up by Hollywood to star in The Corruptor, a 1999 action flick that sees Mark play the leading man Danny Wallace, a police officer who attempts to stop substance trafficking and corruption by the Chinese triads. He's had a successful acting career that has recently been declining in quality, but he's still acting and he looks jacked at the age of 52, so please don't hurt me, Mark. Infinite was just hard to watch. Growing up in Boston, he was the youngest of 9 children and was relentlessly bullied by his fellow siblings. His parents divorced when he was very young, and he became addicted to no-no snow by the time he was in his mid-teens. He dropped out of high school and was eventually arrested when he was just 18 for attempting to slay 2 Vietnamese men. Apparently, he was walking home late one night under the influence of a hallucinogenic narcotic when he spotted the men. Close friends at the time have confirmed that Mark had a racial biased upbringing, which caused him to be instantly aggressive towards anyone who just wasn't white. He attempted to swing a large log at them, which did make contact and knocked one of the men unconscious. He was eventually released after serving only 45 days of his 2-year prison sentence, and he vowed to change his life. Now, so far, he's kept that promise, and I can personally confirm that he's very polite and patient, because he actually watched a movie at the theater I used to work at. He does travel with a crew of 5 people at all times surrounding him. It's a bit intimidating, just a little. Number 4. Margot Robbie may be crazy. Margot may be a perfect Barbie on screen, but apparently behind the scenes, she might be a psychopath. In a recent interview with BBC Radio 1, Margot reminisced about a little prank that she pulled on an old babysitter that involved kitchen cutters, which is the word I'm forced to use for the thing that you cut tomatoes with. Apparently, Margot had just gotten a new babysitter, a much older woman that just apparently wasn't as cool as Talia. So she hatched a plan of sweet, sweet revenge. After a particularly trying day where Margot refused to take a bath, she decided to kick the old lady out for good. She grabbed ketchup, her stabby jabby things, and laid face down on the kitchen tiles. You know, the old "I've been stabbed" routine. As you may expect, her babysitter walked in, took one look, screamed, and just ran out the door. Traumatized, the woman quit and Margot successfully got her old babysitter back. But that is messed up. That is so messed. And Margot was like young when she did this. Like, it's a very dark place for someone's mind to go so early on in their life. Has she secretly been a little bit crazy this whole time? It might explain why she was so good as Harley Quinn. Number 3. Tim Allen's hobbies. Tim Allen is the voice of Buzz Lightyear and the star of ABC's popular sitcom Home Improvement, which premiered in 1991. While he may have played a family man on TV, many fans may not know that Tim was a smuggler of no-no snow in the early 1970s. According to Tim, he got mixed up with some bad people back in the day while he was selling certain substances on the street for a few bucks. In 1978, Tim was arrested in Kalamazoo Battle Creek International Airport, what a name, and was caught with more than 650 grams, 1.4 pounds of no-no snow. Unfortunately for Tim, state legislators had just passed a law that tied a life sentence to any conviction of selling 650 grams or more. Like, as he was being arrested, there was a guy in a car with him like, "And if you have 650 grams, you're a goner." However, that sentence was never served, as it was revealed that Tim was set up by an undercover police officer who had been following him for months. Due to this and Tim's cooperation in providing the names of fellow dealers to the authorities, it led to him receiving a lighter conviction that allowed him to be sentenced in a federal court instead of a state, so being able to ignore that new policy entirely. His information led to 20 arrests and the sentencing of a major dealer. Can that be a movie, please? Number 2. CGI'd before they pass. Unfortunately, computers are not only making everyone's lives easier when it comes to looking cool on screen, but they're also being used in some of the creepiest ways ever. So, the first example of someone being CGI'd into a movie following their passing was Carrie Fisher. And I do mean first to have a speaking line and be a significant character. Rise of Skywalker did not heavily feature her, but the fact that they had that ready to go so fast after she passed, it was super unnerving. They pulled this with Stan Lee too in one of his last on-screen cameos, and Marvel was going to do this with Chadwick Boseman in the sequel to Black Panther, but the studio changed their minds last minute, and thank the good Lord. But not only is Hollywood prepared to CGI their people into movies, they seem to have inside knowledge of when it's gonna happen. With the new addition of AI into the world of film, we're close to Hollywood not even needing actors anymore and just asking the computer to make Tom Cruise do stunts. Deepfake technology is also getting better and better, making it extremely difficult to tell if a video is authentic or just some CGI shenanigans. Nope, still just me. Number 1, they're all broke. That's right, despite it being one of the most lucrative industries in the world, most of Hollywood's actors, writers, directors aren't as well off as we may think. Unless you've been living under a rock for the past month, most of Hollywood is closed right now as its staff are on strike. Some of the toppest of tier actors have joined their crew in solidarity, not stopping until Hollywood's producers and big budget studios start sharing the money that they make. Actor Sean Gunn gave an interview this last week where he mentions working on a show currently streaming on Netflix, a show that has made over $4 million in residuals, of which he's received basically nothing. This type of financial woe extends to a ton of people in Hollywood, and I just wanted to take this moment to wish luck to anyone out there on the picket lines. Hollywood, pay your people, and everyone holding a sign or waiting for the strike to end, get what you're worth and get back to making the world a better place.
Coming at number 10, we have Kim Kardashian. The theme for the 2022 Met Gala was gilded glamour, and for Kim Kardashian this meant wearing one of Marilyn Monroe's dresses, which happened to be the dress that Marilyn wore when she sang Happy Birthday to President John F. Kennedy. Then later there would be conflicting reports that started to headline the media as they claimed that she damaged the dress that she only wore on the red carpet because it didn't fit her correctly, and then she changed into a replica dress inside the event, which led us all to question why did she have to wear the original to begin with. While Ripley's did claim that the dress was damaged beforehand, and Kim never damaged the iconic gown, before and after photos would prove otherwise. Not to mention, she also repeatedly bragged about her weight loss to fit into the garment. In the end, Monroe's fans were extremely upset that the fact Kim used part of the late star's legacy for this, and historic preservationists even were upset that the dress was damaged, and critics of diet culture were angry about Kim's harmful dieting tips. Number 9, Kendall Jenner. It's clear that Kendall is not someone who spends most of her time in the kitchen. During an episode from her family's new TV series, The Kardashians, the star would expose herself after she proved that she's probably never used a knife to cut her own vegetables a day in her life. In a now viral clip, Kendall could be seen in the kitchen wanting to make herself a snack in front of her mother, Kris Jenner, who awkwardly sat there dumbfounded when Kendall attempted to navigate what most can do before they're even a legal adult. At one point, you can even see Kris was concerned for her daughter's fingers when she cautiously watched before saying, "Do you want the chef to make you a snack?" Instead of holding the knife with her dominant hand and the cucumber in her other, the model reached her arm over the knife to grip the opposite side of the vegetable and then proceeded to cut inward, directing the slices to fall towards herself. While most would chuckle at an offer of professional hired chef being called in to simply chop up a cucumber for a 26-year-old woman, after witnessing Kendall attempt to do it on her own, it was pretty sad. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Number 8, Doja Cat. So do you remember the time when Doja Cat slid into Noah Schnapp's DMs just after season 4 of the hit Netflix series Stranger Things was released? While many of us were crushing on Joseph Quinn, who played Eddie Munson, it appears that Doja Cat wanted to get him before anyone else did, so she decided the best way to do it was to slide into the DMs of Joseph's co-star, Noah Schnapp, to see if Joseph was single, and then proceeded to ask Noah to send her a link on his Instagram. The internet then began to rage as Noah is still considered a child and Doja is a full-grown woman. Noah then responded by sending Doja the link, and then he decided it was too weird, so he read the DMs out loud for his TikTok fans to hear. In the end, Doja Cat would then be furious that Noah decided to expose her and described his actions actions as him being a borderline snake. Eventually, Noah did have a good laugh, and he did apologize to Doja Cat for exposing the video, and then he went on to delete the video. But not before the internet called out Doja Cat for being 29 years old and messaging a 17-year-old. Like, come on, Chrissy, just wake up and realize that wasn't okay. Number 7, Adam Levine. Back in September, Adam Levine would be plastered all over the headlines after model Sumner Stroff exposed Adam Levine in a series of shocking TikTok videos. Just shortly after Adam and his wife announced they were expecting their 3rd child. In the videos, Sumner would claim that she and Adam had an affair, and she even provided screenshots of their conversations as proof so people knew she wasn't lying. In the beginning, Adam would then try to deny the affair, and he took to his Instagram to write a statement which said, "I use poor judgment in speaking with anyone other than my wife in any kind of flirtatious matter. I've not had an affair, nevertheless, I crossed the line during a regrettable period of my life." Sumner clearly wasn't happy with Adam's statement, and then she came out with another TikTok video to claim Adam even asked her if it was okay to name his unborn child after her. And she urged for someone to get him a dictionary so he could look up the definition of cheating. Number 6, Ned Fulmer. Adding to the storm of cheating scandals on September 27th, the internet content creators known as the Try Guys would announce that one of the members, who happens to be Ned Fulmer, would be leaving the groups following reports that Ned had an affair with one of his employees, Alex Herring, after a Reddit user shared now deleted screenshots of a video that appeared to feature Ned making out with the Try Guys associate producer at a bar in New York City. As the clip started to circulate around the internet, more videos and photos would also start to circulate of Alex and Ned on dates that looked pretty intimate, and people who posted the images even said they sent them to his wife because they were concerned. This would then force the Try Guys to post a statement which said Ned was no longer working with the Try Guys as a result of a thorough internal review. We do not see a path moving forward together. Soon after the announcement, the Try Guys even switched out their profile picture of all 4 members with the company's official logo across Instagram and Twitter before making an additional video statement clarify that they were blindsided by the news of Ned's behavior. Number 5, Will Smith. At the Oscars on March 27, 2022, Will Smith would show us all that there was something concerning going on with his mental health and state of being as he exposed his darker side. During Chris Rock's speech, he would opt to make an inappropriate joke about Jada Pinkett's shaved head. The joke clearly didn't sit well with Will, as Jada has been suffering from a condition called alopecia. So he took to the stage and smacked Rock across the face. As producers scrambled backstage, Smith would return to his seat and remain there until he accepted his award for Best Actor for his role in the film King Richard. The internet would then start to explode with their opinions on the matter, and while the Smith family mostly stayed offline, well, except for Jada, the Academy would end up banning Will from attending the ceremony for 10 years, though he can still be nominated and win an Oscar. After the ceremony, Will would make an official apology to Chris, and he would then enter into a rehabilitation facility to help him work on his mental health. Number 4, Sydney Sweeney. On August 27, Sydney Sweeney would take to her Instagram to post some images of her mother Lisa's Western-themed 60th birthday celebration, and would expose her family with photos that showed some of the relatives wearing Make America Great Again hats and Blue Lives Matter t-shirts. While the actress did not appear to make any political statements herself, while most people started to go crazy in the actor's comments, one person claiming that the actress exposed her family's political views, another asked why she was kicking it with people wearing Blue Lives Matter merch. Sydney would then later come out to say, "You guys, this is wild. An innocent celebration for my mom's milestone 60th birthday party has turned into an absurd political statement, which was not the intention. Please stop making assumptions. Much love to everyone and happy birthday, Mom." However, you can't really ask your fans to stop making assumptions when there's nothing really to assume, and no matter what the occasion is, it's never okay to wear any of this merchandise items, and each of her family was wearing these because it was a country themed party. but hate isn't country. Number 3. Kris Jenner. Roughly 6 months after Kanye West's feud with his ex-wife Kim Kardashian started, in September, Kanye would go after the reality TV star, and this time he would drag Kris Jenner into things and confirm that she was really the one who released Kim's tape. After Kanye hopped back onto his platform after months of disappearing, he would share several explosive messages towards Kim, and in the process he would express his disapproval towards Kim's parenting styles as he accused her of playing games with their 4 children. In Kanye's post, he would also claim that he wanted to take control over his kids in their future by declaring, "My kids are going to Donda, they are not going to Sierra Canyon," foretelling Kris to grab her mother effing popcorn. Things would then take another turn when Kanye started to point out that Kris Jenner encourages her daughters, mainly Kim and Kylie, to appear in adult magazines and release their infamous tapes. As he was scared Kris would make his own kids participate in the same endeavors in the future. Number 2. Amber Heard. 2022 was a big year for Amber Heard, as it would be the year the star would crash and burn after all of her lies were exposed. While Amber was hoping her dark past wouldn't catch up to her, it certainly did, and when her biggest secret was exposed after she tried to ruin Johnny Depp's career, while Amber was trying to claim that she was a public figure representing domestic abuse. However, during one point of the trial, Amber's lawyer, Ben Rottenborn, presented his opening statements where he presented a Milani Cosmetics all-in-one correcting kit to the jury and claimed that Amber had used this very concealer and correcting kit to hide and cover her bruises. However, that makeup brand wasn't even out, and it exposed Amber's lies by saying in a statement it couldn't be true because their product wasn't even available until after Amber and Johnny had gotten a divorce. In the statement, Ben said, "This is what she used. She became very adept at it." Amber and Johnny got divorced in 2016, which was before Milani's Cosmetic even launched that specific product, as it didn't come out until 2017, which means Amber lied. Number 1. Olivia Wilde. For months, the headlines have been filled with an alleged on-set feud between Olivia Wilde and Florence Pugh on set of Olivia's film Don't Worry Darling, and rumors didn't paint Olivia to be as charming or sweet as we were all led to believe in the past. Despite much of the cast attempts to dampen the rumors, the tension between the two were apparently so bad that some crew members even started to claim that they had a screaming match on set. And Olivia's former nanny would even say that apparently in the beginning, Florence and Harry were close and it drove Olivia nuts, and she complained to her fiance, Jason Sudeikis, and then when she left Jason for Harry and kept taking Harry away from set, this drove Florence nuts. And then Olivia got into a feud with Shia LaBeouf before hiring Harry Styles to replace him, and she claimed that she fired Shia to keep Florence safe, but then Shia would release their text messages where you could see Olivia making fun of Florence, and you can also see why Shia quit, because he was done with Olivia's nonsense.
At number 10, Rihanna. Rihanna might seem like a nice, happy-go-lucky person who's always going hard for her fans, but it turns out that she actually has a little bit of a dark side. I guess you could say that she's savage, like Savage X Fenty. No? Alright. It seems like on a few occasions, she's been quite mean to her fans. She's no stranger to shoving a phone out of her face when approached by a fan, and she's been known to yell at paparazzi and fans when they get a little too close for comfort. On some more unpleasant occasions, she's been filmed smacking a fan on the head with a microphone. During one of her concerts in England in 2013, the singer whacked a fan with her mic because they had reached their hand out to her. Look at that. And in another savage incident, Rihanna mocked a 16-year-old fan online for having recreated one of her red carpet looks for prom, where she called her out on Twitter and made fun of her look, calling it expectation versus reality, and posting a side-by-side comparison. Not the nicest person in the industry, that's for sure. At number 9, Ezra Miller. This one was a little shocking, but it turns out that Ezra Miller might not be as nice of a guy as we think. You may have seen in the intro a video of Ezra Miller choking and slamming a woman to the ground. This video, when it first hit the internet, was thought to have been a joke, but it really wasn't. This happened during an altercation at a bar in Iceland when a group of fans approached the actor and things got out of hand. Bystanders of the incident described the group as being very pushy, and it seemed like this was what triggered Ezra's violent reaction. Things escalated and he lost his temper, leading to the physical altercation. Some say that alcohol may have contributed to the incident, but the bottom line is that Ezra's outburst was not cute, and it really surprised a lot of fans. Just before I continue on with the video, I'd like to ask you guys to maybe consider leaving a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far. We love getting your positive feedback and your likes really help us out too, so please go ahead and show us some love by smashing that like button. At number 8, Jennifer Lopez. This probably doesn't come as a shock to many, but it turns out that J-Lo isn't a very nice person. Some say that she's a real diva and others say that she's just rude. Apparently the singer/actress is very picky about who may or may not speak to her, and for those permitted to address her, they're not allowed to make eye contact with her. There are even reports that she sometimes flat out refuses to comply with scripts. This has happened on a few occasions, most notably during a filming for a Fiat commercial where they needed to hire a double for Jennifer simply because she just didn't want to do certain things for the shoot. She doesn't have a good reputation with a lot of people she's worked with either. She is said to have completely ignored the people who were remodeling her house. She's gotten a cleaning lady fired for having asked for an autograph, and she even refuses to talk to in-flight staff and pilots on flights and instructs her assistant to talk to them for her. And even though her staff do so much for her, including communicating for her, they don't get paid very much for their time. J-Lo just gives off bad vibes, so I think maybe it's best to steer clear of her whenever possible. At number 7, Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire might look like the fun and lovable Peter Parker on screen, but unfortunately that's far from who he really is. Turns out that Tobey is really just a Hollywood jerk, and fame really just drove him to being that way. He started off as a pretty humble guy, but after the Spider-Man films brought him so much fame and success, it consumed him. Towards the end of his Spider-Man days, Tobey had something of an attitude problem, where we saw him harassing people at a poker game, even going so far as to tell a woman to bark like a seal for $1,000. He also racked up a hefty production cost for the third Sam Raimi Spider-Man film because he needed doctors on site at all times to deal with his bad back, and he was only able to walk a certain amount of steps in a scene before needing to quit. Those who worked with him often called his attitude inappropriate, and he's really just been badmouthed by a lot of people he's worked with over the years, so he really doesn't seem like that much of a nice guy. At number 6, Ellen DeGeneres. I think this one's a little obvious because it's Ellen. We've done a lot of videos on Ellen. Ellen has been exposed as one of the meanest people in Hollywood. Even though she was all about kindness and spreading good vibes on her show, it seems like Ellen's angel persona on TV was quite the opposite in real life. Many staff members as well as other people who've been on the show with her and have worked with her in the past have started coming forward to talk about Ellen's mean streak in Hollywood. It turns out that there are some workplace horrors afoot over on the Ellen show set, with people claiming that you're not allowed to look Ellen in the eye, and those who approach her are often spoken to rudely or even face racial biases. Also, there seems to be some kind of drama with the toilets on set. I guess people's butts are very prestigious or something. There have been reports of Ellen getting people in trouble for having chipped nail polish, for giving away fan mail, and apparently there's a rumor that Ellen picks one member of staff to be mean to every day. Lovely person, isn't she? Halfway through at number 5, Christian Bale. Christian Bale's temper is really something to behold. I really wanted to include a clip of one of his outbursts, but there was so much swearing that no one has time to bleep all of that. After his outbursts on set, from crew members upsetting him to fans getting him riled up, Hollywood has begun to paint the actor as someone with serious anger issues. In one instance, according to Christian's former assistant, he once wanted to kill a fan. Fans seem to have really upset the actor on multiple occasions, so apparently once Christian received a fan letter at home, he said that the fan should be eliminated. He described wanting to thrust a screwdriver through the fan's eye and into their brain to the part that prevents screaming. I'll let that one sit there for a second. On another occasion, Christian went on a 4-minute swear word ridden tirade where he really chewed out a crew member from the set of Terminator Salvation. That one I have no quotes for, because if I repeated any of those words, this video would be flagged, and just trust me when I say Christian Bale is one mean SOB. At number 4, Lea Michele. Lea Michele is another celebrity who's been exposed for her mean streak this year. Following a Twitter exposure from former Glee co-star Samantha Ware, Lea has now been described as, quote, callous, rude, mean, and even a diva. But Samantha's exposure of the Broadway star isn't the only testimony that has come forward recounting her mean streak. There have been stories of Lea's microaggressions, but also stories of her spitting in craft service food, refusing to work with people because they didn't know her middle name, requesting reshoots because she didn't like her costume, disrespecting other castmates, and having crew members apologize on her behalf, and just so many other are frustrating tidbits that just really show how rude and entitled she's known to be. At number 3, Amber Heard. I couldn't make this mean celebrity list without including Amber. That's like watching a Marvel movie and leaving before the end credits. You just don't do that. I'm sure that we all know who Amber Heard is by now, and if not, where have you been? Amber and Johnny have been the media's it story this past year, and we've learned so much. If you've seen my recent video where I gave you the top 10 worst Amber Heard moments, then it's no surprise to you that she is a horrible person, but if not, let me recap some of her highlights. She's gotten into a fight with her sister, she's been recorded confessing to hitting Johnny Depp, she's pretended to have been a victim of a violent crime, she's smuggled her dogs into Australia, pretended not to have known about the laws there, and tried to get her assistant to commit perjury. She's responsible for Johnny's severed finger, and she's supposedly planted stories in the media to deliberately shift the focus from Johnny to her. Because of all of these things that have come out about the actress, there's just so many people from around the world who just really hate her. There have been petitions to have her removed from certain movies, and she's lost a lot of respect from fans and some Hollywood people as well. So yeah, she definitely belongs on this list. At number 2, Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal seems to be this super great guy who's given back to his community, donated to all these charities, and has done a lot of work to benefit a lot of people. I mean, the guy has a whole foundation in his name, so this one might be a little controversial, but this was news to me, so I thought I'd share it with the class. There was an incident in 2014 when Shaq mocked the appearance of a man named Jamal Binion. Jamal suffers from a rare genetic condition which has resulted in some facial deformities. It seems like Shaq saw a picture of him online and recreated the image himself, posing his face to look like that of Jamal. Well, he didn't think it was very funny, and even though Shaq apologized, it wasn't enough, and so he issued a lawsuit against the basketball star, as well as 2 other people who mocked his condition for $25,000 in damages. The lawsuit claimed that the image was shared to nearly 10 million people around the world, so this public mocking was grounds for seeking damages. Shaq may not be a mean guy all of the time, but this instance sure did open a lot of people's eyes to the NBA star's actions. And finally at number 1, Mariah Carey. Mariah Carey isn't the nicest person ever. She's had run-ins with the paparazzi which have not gone over well, she's had some bad relationships with others, and she's known to be something of a diva. But this takes the cake. There was a lawsuit from one of Mariah's former assistants which claimed that the singer peed on her, ridiculed her body, and then called her some pretty rude names. Her former assistant said that she was hired by the singer to be on call 24/7 and assisted both Mariah and her manager. Though she was paid a salary of $250,000 a year, this wage just couldn't cover up the alleged abuse sustained by Mariah. But her case wasn't the only one up against the singer at the time. While this case was being disputed, Mariah had just settled one with her former manager which cited breach of contract, harassment, and unpaid wages. It seems like though she pays her people well, she doesn't treat them as well as she should.